Welcome very, very much to Conversations, and it's a really delight and pleasure for me to welcome to the program my dear, darling son, David Donald Channer. And David, so welcoming I am to you on the set. It's really good that we were able to get together for this program.
It's good to be here in New York. It's good to be
He's one of the best people on the whole planet. I'm partial, if you don't mind. But, I mean, he's a really good guy, really smart, and really having the strongest ethics and the strongest sense of social responsibility of anybody I know, combined with a great ability to get things done, which is very, very good. You don't have to, you're very effective and everything. But all of that said, let's just start at the beginning. You're my son, and we let's see, you are now a social worker.
Yeah.
And you've been through, I remember when you were younger, we were up at New Paltz and so forth, and I was teaching there, and you were coming up, and you were always very, very interested in broad subjects, evolution and calculus and all these kind of things. And then you went to Berkeley. Let's say we went to university.
Berkeley. I didn't go to school in Berkeley.
You moved to Berkeley, but you went to school in Santa Cruz.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, now talk about.
And just to correct the record, let's get the record straight.
Okay,
I took one calculus class, and it kicked my butt. So that
was
it
did?
Yeah, I was great with math.
I thought you understood calculus.
I understood pieces of it, but that was the year that the intuitive connection to math
God, I
fell
was beginning to think you were like one of those geniuses who could really understand.
I got a really hard 1C in calculus.
Well, congratulations on a hard 1C. I mean, hard 1Cs also serve, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of that C.
Yeah.
But I studied biology at
and you were you were really, really amazed. And Santa Cruz was such a great place.
Magical,
It's
still great.
If you've not been there, people, they've got these wonderful trees, and they got a dock right on the ocean, and the seals swim right up to the dock.
They do.
They do. It's really gorgeous with redwood trees and stuff.
You got the whole package there.
How did you happen to go to there?
That's an interesting story.
Yeah, Santa Cruz is a good school, I understand. Yeah.
So
you were interested in dolphins.
I was very interested in dolphins.
Yeah.
Almost as an alternative to being, I was really disillusioned with humanity at that point.
I can understand.
And I had latched onto John Lilly and his research on dolphins, and I had this sense of the intelligence and the dolphins and whales.
Cetaceans, they're called?
Cetaceans, yeah.
Cetaceans, yeah. They're smarter than us, maybe.
I still kind of feel that way. Yeah. Although I do.
Yeah, we would think they have a language or something.
Yeah, complex language
that we could understand or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So I was also, by the time I finished high school, I hated school. Similar to how you describe your high school experience, I was very, very disillusioned
I always
with
hated school. I never liked school.
Yeah. So I took a year and a half off.
I wanted to play baseball.
I didn't want to play baseball, but I didn't want to go to school.
Yeah.
But so I was just thrown, that time of your life, the colleges are sending you all these.
So you're talking 18, 19 years old. Yeah, right. That's a tough time of year.
And this is the late, mid to late 80s. So.
Yeah.
And I was, every form that came from a college, I just tossed it in the garbage and the recycling. I didn't want to think about it. I just needed time. I did some traveling during that time.
Where did you go?
I went to Europe for about half a year and 4 months.
Were you just
biking around,
visited
a friend of mine in France.
Yeah, that can be very good.
It was great. It was like a good, bookend on a piece of life.
Right.
And but then I had to go. I did want to go to college. So when it came time to start thinking about that, I spoke to Danny. My
Danny,
lifelong
that's the
friend.
fellow we just celebrated.
Danny, we're just memorializing.
Let's just take a minute and share. He was one of the three musketeers, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in New Paltz, a very tight community of friends, and the families were all
it's a great place.
Extended family of many, many
sister
families.
Community to Woodstock, and from whence came the Woodstock Festival. We went to the Woodstock Festival from there.
Well, we did. You did.
I did. Yeah,
you left me with a babysitter.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right.
But so Danny, who we come back to that in a minute, but he was the kind of person who knew about every college that was out there, even if he wasn't. He had stats memorized. He was a little bit, wonky in that way. And he said, "What are you looking for?" Oh, brilliant!
He was really funny. I remember funny.
Yeah, funny. And
I love
dark
the guy.
And
you had three guys, and they were like mates,
Yeah, we were brothers. Yeah, pretty much. So he said, "What are you looking for in a college?" And I said, "Well, I want something where I can study dolphins. I want something that's, close to nature, so I don't want to be in a city. I hate, no offense to
You're
New
in
York.
one now.
I know.
Par excellence. I love
But
cities.
I
now.
know. I don't feel the thing the city love.
I distrust nature, actually.
See, well, that's one of the
It's a
places we
difference,
different.
but,
Yeah.
you know,
well, together though,
yeah.
we had the whole. We can
got the whole
appreciate
ball
the
of
whole world.
wax between the two of us. Yeah.
And,
I don't trust Mother Nature. I think she's a little.
It's a little bit vicious. Yeah, it's not always kind.
I got stuck on top of Mount McKinley.
I know. I love that
Yeah,
story.
I got stuck
Let's
on
come
Mount
back then. I want to hear you tell that whole story.
But I want to hear about
So
Danny.
so he says, "What are you looking for?" So I said, "I want to be close to nature.
Yeah.
I want to be able to study marine biology, dolphins
you
in
were
particular,
into marine biology.
and I prefer a place with no grades. And I think you had a big influence on the way I thought about the role of grading in education.
Well, it's just because I'm so anti-authoritarian.
Yeah,
I
well, we
hate
grew up with the stories of
authoritarianism.
you-
I hate
of
the
you-
structural authority.
And you managed as a professor to get around it by giving the A right away, and then the people could either trip on the grade or not.
Well, yeah, but I used to
I
give.
couldn't find a school that did
was
that.
a way to get rid of the authority. They come in, they say, "What do we have to do?" And what it is, it's outer directed in my way of thinking.
Yeah.
And the leader of the place here, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, George Stoney. You met George? I don't know if you ever did, but he was the one more than anybody else is responsible for this institution.
Yeah.
See, great guy, filmmaker and everything.
Yeah.
And he was a filmmaker at and knew how to work like contracts and things like that
The
that make
business
for
side of it.
success, business and everything. But he did from his as a professor at Tisch School. But he said he had the same problem. He had a problem because they come into the class, and they say, "What do I have to do to get an A?
Yeah.
I'm here to get an A. I got to get into business, Harvard business, and I got to get in so I can make a lot of money."
Mm-hmm.
And he said it was just so disquieting. And I told him I had just given everybody an A on the first day of the class, and said, "That's it. As far as I'm concerned, you're all A's. And
Right.
you come, I'll be here every day. And if you want to come, we'll do something."
Yeah.
And
so
what
that has a
happened is
liberating impact.
a lot of the people just left, said, "Hallelujah, I'm on my way to Harvard Business or something." And then what happened is my class got filled with the smartest people on campus, and they were all troublemakers. Smart troublemakers, which I kind of liked, yeah. So I probably infected you that way.
Yeah, well, thank you. That was a good
So you
contagion.
tried to find a university that didn't have grades.
Yeah, so, you
Yeah.
know, and Danny, right, you know, he took about 10 seconds to think about it. He said, "You should go to Santa Cruz."
Wow, really? That's part of the California system.
Yeah, it's a UC.
UC,
and
yeah.
on that, I didn't, you know, there wasn't an internet back then, but I didn't write to them. I didn't research them. I just said, okay, that's a good idea. And Kiff, the other Three Musketeer, was in California that summer with some other friends of ours living in Berkeley.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, I'll just go stay with them for a bit and set up, find a job and move
Right.
down to Berkeley. And I didn't even research it. I just
You're
went.
like a Rolling Stone.
I was a
little bit.
whimsical
Yeah.
fool, but it worked out.
Like a young person should be, yeah.
So that's how I ended up there, and it was
Don't
the right
listen
call.
to me, young people. Listen to your teacher. Yeah.
I got lucky. Like that was a good call. Danny did me well.
Yeah.
Did me right.
And then you
So I studied biology there. I never really wanted to go into that field professionally. I didn't really know. Like you said, I liked studying ecosystems and evolution.
Yeah.
That kind of brought me back to liking humanity again a little bit. Having an interest
from
at
the
least in
creatures
humanity.
to the people, right? Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
And then I wandered into social work when I had right after Danny died.
Yeah.
Moved back to
Danny. Let's just share it.
All right.
These three fellows were on a trip in Costa Rica. How long ago was it? Or were we?
I wasn't there. Danny went there with
sorry.
Danny was there on it was like a study abroad kind of program.
Right. Yeah.
And he was with a group of other students and went swimming at a beach there, and it had a really unmarked, very dangerous currents that had not been posted or anything. And he ended up drowning.
How horrible. Young man.
24
18
years
or
old.
something.
No, 24.
24, yeah, right. Tragedy, yeah.
Right. So he
and
would
you've
be.
been here up in this, you're in from the West Coast now.
Yeah.
Glad we could fit this in, and you were up in New Paltz having a commemorative gathering of a number of people who knew Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Really wonderful.
Yeah.
And, you know, a very unscripted community and a very unscripted form of mourning and memorializing someone who starting with when he died, we this group of people came together for about 2 weeks with no map, no plan, and every moment was this.
Oh yeah, he was.
It was a cultural genesis. Like each moment was we were co-creating whatever we needed. Rituals that had, just making it up as we went along. It was really magical.
You would have been about the same age then, right? 24.
We were, we're the same age.
Young.
So he would have been 48 now.
Yeah.
That's why we had this resurgence of this, what had been a yearly ritual for a while, coming together to remember him.
Yeah, that's really interesting. All of that, there's my best Danny's dad,
Alan.
Alan, yeah, he was a professor, was he? Or a teacher.
He taught. He went to law school to avoid going in the Vietnam War,
Yeah,
and then Danny
Vietnam
was
War
born, so that.
Yeah.
But no, Alan's a brilliant
I know,
guy,
great guy,
intellectually and
his ethics are also good. I remember.
Yeah.
He had a wife.
He was Danny's mother is Naomi.
Naomi, right.
They split up years ago.
Yeah.
But he's been married for
She
many
was
years
really
to Linda
funny.
Hart, who's Naomi's great.
I'm sorry, we're reminiscing here along
This
the
is
popular.
great. This is nice.
But it's not fair. But anyway, we had a great time. There was a great community up there in New Paltz. We did the same thing. New Paltz had everybody just not do any grades, and that's something they can't buy, because that grading is the goal of the process. Oh no, that's the thing that it's all about, is the grading. So you'll get a grade that you can get a certificate that lets you get into an institution where you can make money. It's all about that in terms of the education, rather than, and it's undercutting. Never mind, I don't want to get in that.
No,
because
I think that's really relevant.
Systems thinking, but anyway.
And if you have any system that is set up in a way that all it wants to do is recreate by rote or by indoctrination the same way over and over, with not enough liberation to create something new, then it's an unhealthy system.
Well, it is and it isn't. It's different. This takes all kinds, I guess, and everything. But I've never I do a program. This is called Conversations, and most are called interviews or something. And an interview is like, it bespeaks structure. You know what you're going to do, and you're going to go in great detail, and like that. A conversation bespeaks spontaneity. I like spontaneity, and just be interested in everything, and relate everything to everything else, and not get all specialized out on any particular discipline. It can't be tolerated in the educational system writ large. But anyway, that's all talk. And so now you got. How did you get over into social work and everything? So that was through family or something.
Yeah, the organization called Family Woodstock.
Who was that guy we did a program with? It was a filmmaker.
You mean when I was on this program?
Yeah,
20
years ago.
No, that would have been longer. I don't know how long ago that was. But I had hair. That's all I know.
Yeah, right.
But his name was Stridiron, I think.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ray Stridiron.
Yeah.
Right. He was a good actor and everything. That's the arts.
Yeah.
And the things that really matter have no interest practically anymore. It's all just, how can I get some money? Right. It seems to be the only thing that's motivating society, which is unfortunate. But anyway, you got into it, and I'm talking too much. Don't let me talk. So how did you get into the work you're doing? Let's talk about it. It's really good work, I know.
So
but
comes back to Danny
worker.
Again.
Oh, Danny.
So
okay.
I came back after Danny died, started reconnecting with the East Coast and the New Paltz area.
Yeah.
And I needed to find some work, so I got a part-time job in a homeless shelter for teenagers.
Okay.
And within 3 hours of that first shift as
home.
A substitute counselor there, I said, I found something here that I knew that this was a breadcrumb on a path that I needed to follow.
And you could help people that were in,
Yeah.
It was so like a service. It's like a what do you call it? Therapy or something, or not that, a relationship that's human.
Yeah.
And important.
Yeah.
To people that are in difficult situations, mentally or physically or whatever. Yeah, okay. So you're interested.
And it's generally families that have been, for a variety of reasons, that their circumstances have led to the fracturing or dissolution of the connections that we all really need.
Family.
Like even you're talking about how money drives people.
Yeah.
And grades drive people. I think what that is it's sort of a perverted version of needing to be connected and relevant within a context of humanity.
Well, those are within the relatives of the really important thing. The humanity of it all is what's really, really important.
Exactly.
But in the short term, what really matters is money. I mean,
Sure.
is material the means of having material security or encouragement. Material security, that would be like a house. And you got to make sure that you have a place to live and to have food. You know, and I still think that's an elementary system. We have to get some sort of a way of making that available to a whole lot of people that is not getting, are not getting the benefits of the overall technological developed system that we have materialistically.
It's it's bad for everyone when people don't have enough to not worry about those basic things. It becomes a disease that we all suffer from. If people
you think it would be good if nobody had to worry about those things?
Yeah, I think if everybody could not worry about those basic
just
things.
give everybody money. I think that it's but they got these things about you got to have a purpose in being. People want a purpose in being and so forth. But I think people are going to have to learn to live with the fact that they have the things they need as a given. And then what they could be interested in are the things that get so short shrift now, like the arts. And the things that really matter, or education, even in the fullest sense of the word, living a full life without having to be worried or about the material problems that is the major problem of social discord in the society. If everybody had enough, I mean, we have such a capability to provide for everybody that we've never had or something. So we need a big change. Anyway, I get off the track.
Yeah, and where we often get, one of our places that we go in this dialogue is often like, I think that that's true, that the material aspect of like new ideas, new ways of making sure that we're all in the equation, that people are taken care of at a basic level is really important to me. I also think there are, and this is another thing that there's the capability there, but we're not actualizing it, is that we need new ways of, I think it's particularly at this time, we need to put more energy into thinking about how we think. The patterns of the way that humans are currently making sense of things is very, very, very
skewed,
rudimentary compared to what we're capable of.
And
the times demand much more careful habits of thought, of perception, of analysis, of individual and systemic critique, and a little skepticism mixed with optimism, know. And I think that we're not having that laid out in terms of the infrastructure of the way the media presents issues, the way our politicians operate, the way businesses do or don't function. So I think there's a bit of a dual thing where the systems have to be worked on, but also the habits and practices, that the way that we use our minds and our relationships have to be taken into account.
Yeah,
because you can give people money, and they're still going to be caught in this kind of vestigial desire to have more money than the person next door to them.
You think so? I was
that
just
used to be adaptive, and it's now not.
Well, but now I don't know. It might be there's a time coming for something beyond those outer directed goals that have motivated human behavior. I don't know, or some way of doing it, but if you just have, we got enough technologically augmented capability. Like I was saying in a program earlier with Tom that aired a couple days ago, Tom Kiley, we got we could provide housing for everybody on the planet with no problem. 4,000 square feet with waterfalls, and you could they could.
I don't know about that,
we got this capability, but they have to keep it scarce. That we may be coming into a time of abundance as opposed to a large systems way understanding of the relationship of humanity within the whole order, which was basically scarce. There was never enough. In the cave, there was only enough eggs to feed one kid. You had to let the other one die. Mm-hmm. Or throughout the whole thing, there was never enough. So everybody had to fight in order to get basic substance. sustenance and so forth. And that is zero-sum thinking. In order for one to win, there's not enough. Essentially, that's it. There is not enough. That's assumption that has to be accepted at a level of a given, like there's air or something. But we're now coming to a time where there is, in terms of capability, enough.
That's right.
No, but that's something huge. And it's
It
never
is.
mentioned. It's never mentioned that there is enough for all at the level of capability. And it's not there in the reality. It's always lagging behind the capability. The capability is emerging. And I think you're going to have people who can think like artists or can think like free people rather than people who have to figure out how they can do all this outer-directed thing of how they can maybe have the right to have a piece of bread or something or a place to live. And I don't think those kind of goals, those things that motivate, and the greed and the things that come, that's an extension of it. But if I think they're going to just have a world where there's enough for everybody to have the life of a have human being, which we've never had. We're going through an evolutionary change, I think. I don't know. That's what I think. And that we don't. It's never mentioned and never brought up that there could ever be a condition of organization where there is enough, and people don't have to think about the elementary thing. They can be. And now you got an internet. You can be in touch with the whole damn world.
Right.
You can be interested in so many different things and so many things you can do, but you're doing it as somebody that isn't doing it because they have to, but because they want to. There's a big difference between, let's just say, a woman. A woman is making love because she wants to, not because she has to. Or somebody's being nice because they have to for some exterior reason. Or all these external ideas. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Seem to be so much in the realm now because everybody's thinking there's not nearly enough. And for one to have something, somebody else has to be deprived. And do you understand? I don't know.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've heard this from me. But
Couple
anyway,
times.
But talk about the social work thing. You've become one. You're helping people who are least advantaged among some people in California or something. What does the work involve in the thinking?
Well, since that first job, I've stayed pretty focused on working with kids and families that are in or at risk of entering the child welfare system.
Oh boy. Okay.
So it's families for whom, if you believe that things are socially constructed to a large degree and that the economics, the circumstances in these families' lives, the accumulation of whether it's intergenerational trauma or poverty or addiction or mental illness, whatever it is, it's led to their family not having enough fabric to keep itself together, to keep the kids safe, that some neglect or abuse has crept into the equation for this family. And the child welfare system, historically, it's a very new institution.
You know, Jane Austen and things that are back.
Jane Addams, I think you might be thinking of, Jane Austen comes. She could make that relevant too. But but the animal protection is older than the child protection.
Wow,
system.
that's really interesting.
So it's still, in evolutionary terms, it's a very new institutional context, and it's one of those things that's trying to get wiser each year, and things are happening that are good. But in a sense, it's, there's this tension between making sure that kids are safe and also trying to keep families intact. And there's been, how you reconcile those two different mandates, in a sense, for the child welfare system is really tricky. And over the years, there have been periods where the kind of zeitgeist is to remove kids and get them good parents, just take them out, do the parentectomy, you take them out of the bad home with the bad parent, and you give them a new home, and then everything will be fine.
Boy, you're dealing with some of the hurting people in the world, aren't you? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then there's been other times where the trend, seeing the problems that can come when you just rip a kid out of their kinship context and their family history.
Even if
there have been
violence,
trends to reunify, which is good. But if you don't do that smartly, kids end up going home because that feels nice and warm and fuzzy, and then they end up, sometimes having tragic outcomes there. So a lot of my work over the years, when I was doing direct work and now I'm more in a management role, has been trying to figure out how you create a vision that sensibly balances those things and is focused on creating processes that balance them, so it's not a formula that one is right or one is wrong, and you're not trying to figure out if it's a good parent or a bad parent. You're trying to really look at all the complex issues that are involved, and how do you mitigate risks, and then how do you operationalize the vision that you have for balancing these tensions. And so it's that means getting, if we're talking about comprehensive thinking, and that means having the vision that's up here, really big, philosophical, evolutionary, systemic, and then also having the granular detail for operationalizing.
That's good. I like you combine both. Don't get one to the other. I have a tendency to
well, you have a great
but I have a
vision
tendency
person.
to having any patience with the details. Stuff,
well, not everyone has to have the whole package.
It's called in academia. It's called specialization or comprehensive or systems thinking. Systems thinking is you're just thinking about everything and relating this to this and that to this and this to this.
Right.
Not one specialization, which is good for a professional take of money from the system where you're going to need it to give eggs to the kids.
It's
called responsibility.
Yeah.
And there is a measure of that being the case given the historical context under which we're working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go and keep.
No, that's really right on.
Well.
So you have these.
I don't know if it is, maybe.
You have these systems that are funded basically by taxes.
Yeah.
That are designed to keep kids safe, keep families together, repair communities.
Right.
The tax coffers, as you know, in this country are a little thin. It's not taxes aren't popular here, and so you have this very, very sometimes broken communities that have suffered intergenerational accumulation of these problems.
Yeah.
And you have very, very limited resources to try to do something that is not just putting a Band-Aid on it or making a hasty, you're trying to actually heal the systemic patterns that are going on.
When you say resources, does that go in some degree money?
Well, money's always part of it, yeah.
Always. I mean, people is it always or not? Are there people that
money's an odd thing,
have those things met that still have there's all kinds of other problems you can have, even though you've got running water and you've got safety and you've got heat and you've got all the basic necessities, talking on a world scale now.
The thing that's from a child development and a family
security.
Well-being.
Elemental security.
Security is much bigger than money, and money is not the most important thing to a developing child.
No, not to a child, no.
No, but we're all, so if you think about what we're designed to do, we're designed to develop into a connected community of humanity.
Yeah.
Our family and our community, our tribe, our clan, whatever, that's how we're wired.
Yeah.
And if you can have what we would think of as abject poverty, but have those things be very, very strong.
Yeah, I know.
That's not going to lead to those families don't have the same degree of suffering as somebody who has slightly more means, but doesn't have the connections, the love, the empathy, and
I guess it goes, right.
Interdependency.
Yeah.
A healthy ecosystem, back to the where this all started, talking about the natural patterns.
Yeah, those
healthy
are abstract
ecosystems
things
are
they're
interconnected, diverse systems of interdependency.
Yeah.
And that's what we're supposed to be doing on a cultural level with one another.
What did you say, we?
Humanity.
Humanity.
The human
right,
species.
Yeah.
So yes, money is a placeholder for security, and money is also in this country a cult almost.
It's also the thing that motivates most human behavior.
Yeah.
So you don't have a negative idea toward that, because that's the thing that motivates most sociological and real behavior. I mean, because you go to the grocery store and the cornflakes are there. I mean, somebody gets them. You have to have people doing things to keep the system going, to provide for everybody, so they have a role, and then they get a sense of identity out of what they do. People do too, and that's important, isn't it? If you enjoy what you're doing, it's one thing. If you don't, if you're doing it like a quarry slave, you don't enjoy it. But
I'm in a bit of a bubble, and you're probably right about that being a predominant motivator. But in the not-for-profit world, anybody who goes into my field for the money is kind of an idiot. I mean, there isn't money there. So if people just were motivated by money, they would not be choosing to work with this population. No. It's a very underpaid.
No, I don't.
So,
I think they would say those people be damned. They'd let them die in the gutter. Ultimately, if you just let it go, there's some people.
So you have to acknowledge
soft-hearted people come along and have some
not
sort
soft-hearted.
of concern.
I think that's
no.
Well, it's very hard.
But you care about somebody. There's things called love, and feelings, and there's all kinds of interesting things that they don't matter. What matters is the money.
Right.
So
those people are not going into. I do not.
They don't
I am
go
not
into
surround
your
my
field,
entire context of the people we're working with and the people that are working, and some of our employees where I work. Yeah. Their training was going through what the parents they're helping. They themselves had their children removed. Yeah. They made it back into a place of stability. They regained that connection, that guardianship or custody over their children.
Right.
And they are now, their main purpose in life is to develop the professional and personal skills to help other people do that.
Professional skills.
So they're now mentors to help other parents who have just had their kids removed to get their lives back on track.
I see. And then the professional thing is you've got something that you can do in the society. That would be called having a, let's just use the word job.
Yeah, but
where you're going to do something, and that's going to bring conflict.
Let's come to job secondary, because the first thing is, let's say that one of the things people crave in this world is meaningful work.
Well, that's something. That's another assumption.
So it's a little bit grayer than the way you're saying it. I think, at least in the field I'm in, because people do. You need to not, unless you happen to be have a big trust fund or something. You can't ignore money. You have to know that that's part of the world that you live in. But most of the people that are doing this, the work that I do in the field that I'm in, they see this as part of their contribution to the human condition. They see this as something that they have a generative purpose, and it's their work. And they have to try to align that with a job. And part of my job is to make jobs for people that are aligned with what we're trying to do as an agency, so that they can come in and take that generative purpose that they feel in their hearts and that they want to devote their lives to, and try to make it something that also is a livable, it's kind of like right livelihood, as the Buddhists would say, that you can get a livable wage. And where I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, that's really hard to do. The wages that we can pay, they're frankly not livable. Really? For a lot of the staff.
That's the same in New York, I think. Yeah. And the rents go up and everything, so high, and everything. But but doing those two things,
But so they do have a job, but their job, it's if you think of it as like a Venn diagram, they found a job that is aligned as much as possible with what is actually motivating them, which is to have a place to practice their passion and to make a difference.
And you practice. They actually enjoy helping people, or being engaged with the things that really matter, like love and the other kinds of things, and purpose and the important values. Yeah. Other than
it's not fun what we do. There's the term secondary traumatic stress.
No.
So you actually have a physical and emotional negative impact from doing the work we're doing, because you are steeping yourself in some of the...
You're talking about yourself now, or are you talking about a person in general?
The field, people working in this field.
Oh, in that field,
so if you're going, we absorb the context. Our reality is framed within our minds by what we're doing each day, what we're surrounded by. Yeah. So these are people who choose to steep themselves in some of the toughest stories, experiences, and narratives that are happening in our area. And that becomes their reference point for how humanity is doing. And you end up your heart ends up actually living the experience of intense trauma, even though it's not directly happening to you, because it's happening to people that are part of your emotional and daily
and you're trying to reduce
life.
That. You're trying to reduce that in their life's experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you say, do they enjoy it? They enjoy it's fulfilling for people, but it is not fun most days. It is very, very hard work. and then there are also the things that are purely enjoyable when you see.
It's what is enjoyable?
Well, when you see people's lives
Yeah,
transform,
yes,
and
right.
you see a kid
Yeah.
turn a corner from
Right.
something that was
That's empathy
from misery
and- yeah.
to happiness.
That
or fulfillment.
incorporates all of the most
Yeah.
noble human ways of being, empathy and all the other things important. Now, this kind of thing you're doing, is it? How does it work? We have a private and public sector and everything.
Yeah.
Is it? Are there ventures or initiatives such as you're involved with? You got an organization in the private sector, or how is it? And you talk
We're
about
private
resources.
sector.
That's a word for like money coming from the state or from some foundation or something. Can it fit into a private sector money-making context that motivates business as usual opportunities that the society presents? Can you be making a profit out of it? So that you understand,
I do, yeah.
the business model says that you make an investment, it's going to pay for itself out of its earnings. If it doesn't if it doesn't give benefit, in this case, benefit in important human values and so forth, in an effective way, then it goes out of business, you see.
Mhm.
Now, do you understand all of that? Is it
This-
private sector, public? Is this all public sector?
It's
work?
private. Well, what we're doing, we're a private sector. We're
You are no, but I'm
private
talking about
not-for-profit, but
the
funding
realm of
streams.
human activity that you're
yeah.
involved with. There are other people, other institutions around the world.
Sure.
But that motivational thing among people, including the upcoming new generations and so forth, is it mostly in public sector that you find the concern for that? Whereas in a lot of the private sector, they don't give a hang about the least advantage. Let them die.
Well, most of the agencies doing the kind of work I'm doing are private sector, but it's almost all in partnership with public sector.
Okay.
So we work directly with counties. They have different funding streams that are.
Well, then now you're talking funding. You're talking money. So you
Yeah.
talk resources and funding, and you're talking money. That's,
Sure.
Yeah. In order to okay.
Money is, a pathway for the power to do something. You need to be able to organize the money to create the living wage for someone to come and,
What about if
they-
instead of it being a wage they just get money? You get a way for them to have the money. They have to.
Yeah, that's what they get.
But you do want this work ethic thing. You want it to be worthwhile. You want a person to come back from the factory and feel worthwhile. They helped to build the national defense or something. An outer-directed motivational thing that rewards effort. They want to be a sense of identity.
Yeah.
If they all didn't have to do that, if they didn't have to struggle like crazy, but they bring back the bacon and the family's secure and the family's okay and they're prideful for that or not, and those kind of things are part of the human, that's part of the way the society's organized, and the work ethic is there.
Well, let me get back to what you were asking before.
I
though,
know,
about
it's
the
all very, very
about
hard to
this.
get.
Well, if you think about your question before about this, what is the return on investment kind of question?
Well,
for
that's a
this?
business
And if
thing.
you were to take a business model to this,
Yeah.
you would have to widen the circle of what you think of as, right now, the actual families that we're talking about
Yeah.
in that, if we were going to organize the question and the dialogue that way,
Yeah.
they're seen almost as externalities. Like the return on investment
Yeah.
is very clear,
Yeah.
and people are starting to, get it together to create a actual because they know that ultimately people who care a lot about money are involved in making decisions about this kind of thing. So people are working harder and harder to show the return on investment for a society economically when you make these investments in the
In
people
human-
that are suffering, right?
Oh, so
It
it's
has-
getting to be a saleable thing.
But but it doesn't work if you're like, well, what's my investment? If you're thinking, what's the return on investment for the shareholders so we can line their pockets with more money? That kind of thinking does not work here. But it's kind of like infrastructure with our, you can make a money-based argument for why it's a good thing to invest in roads and bridges and internet and all that stuff.
Yeah, so you can do the same for what you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's very clear, correlation between taking care of people and having reduced crime and having
Is it understood? It's not too abstract away from the immediate gains of whatever effort you're going to do. Like in business investment, you're going to get company A going, and they're going to make you're going to gain. But it's more abstract to have a strong society.
And it is too abstract right
so
now.
It would
I think
fit
most
more,
people don't see the connection. They see this as handouts.
Yeah,
they see it as
exactly.
Instead of as you would if you thought of it all as one family.
Yeah,
if you thought of all of humanity as one organism,
that's what I'm trying
you
to
would
think
not say, I'm not going to send blood to my hand. What has my hand done for me today?
Well, thank you.
You would say, like, we have to take care of this whole organism, and there's parts that are not.
Thank you.
And money is really, I think of as, if you take the value-laden stuff out of it, money's it's made up. It's an imaginary thing that is just a language of like blood flow.
Yeah, but maybe it should be brought into a better understanding of how to form. I would say form capital. They would in a capitalist way of saying form capital that's going to pay for itself or going to benefit in the future. So you're tapping into the future. So you got a better chance of tapping into the abstract capability existing.
Right.
That you're in institutions you've inherited out of a more constrained historical pattern. The historical pattern was much more constrained toward anything that could allow there to be these kind of values there. And so it would be like you'd make a proposal that could be understood by the society in general. Your politicians would make a thing. They would have a pattern that could allow us to do what we're capable of, rather than being constrained and trying to fit what we're able to do for the good of humanity and for the ecosystem and other things, because we're constrained by adherence to outdated concepts of human nature and also of what we can collectively, what we're capable of. And everybody knows we're not capable of taking care of everybody, but in fact we may very well have a vision that we are capable of that in a unique way that is like almost evolutionarily giving a change that undercuts all of the basic institutional structures by which we've limped along up the history's curve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're coming to a time maybe of a bursting of a capability that is there, and people it's like going from heliocentric to geocentric view of the universe that Galileo brought.
And there are places.
I mean, that kind of a change. We're not just going through another political party thing or something. I mean, at this particular.
No, that's a huge change.
Do you think we're at that kind of a stage in evolutionary? You studied evolution. Evolution is red in tooth and claw. I mean, it's pretty tough and everything. And, 99.99999% of all species have gone extinct. We have weapon systems. We could maybe wipe ourselves out. Maybe that happens by other evolutionary patterns. Or we can go into a new pattern. It's called speciation. We may be on the verge of like leaving the womb or coming into a new capability, and we should study evolution the way it happens. How does the new appear in evolutionary terms? When you got, we're a few million years, we were Homo erectus, and then all of a sudden there came this new thing. It was called Homo sapien.
Yeah, it's a little bit sudden, but it's all from the time frame that we're looking at now, within like the course of
but it's a
couple generations.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is it's not just enough to be constrained by the historical bounds.
Right.
Okay. Or in a limited political sense, like the French Revolution or the American Revolution or something, but that we're coming to a time where the given principles of the universe said there's not nearly enough to go around. There never was.
Yeah.
It was limited. Only the little kid. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
The whole understanding is that the material world is limited. You've got to grab for yourself, or you've got to provide for yourself, or something. And what we should be getting to is we're capable of taking care of everybody in a way that we've never been able to because of the technological capability of providing life support.
And I think that again,
I don't know if that something big.
So again,
or the resultant of that would be a resonancy in universe, or like a speciation.
I think
maybe that's going.
It could also be understood as a new level of cohesion. If you think about evolutionary patterns, the thing that has evolved is again, systems of interwoven, increasingly diverse ecosystems.
Right.
So you have these interdependencies that become more and more complex as this tapestry grows.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is outdated now, it's not just about the technical, almost, the technology and the systems to see if everybody can have enough, but it's also intellectually, emotionally, and in terms of our identity and our cognitive capability to make sense of the world.
Yeah.
We have to want everybody to have enough.
Yes,
and
that
right
would be
now,
what we would want.
if you look at
I
what's
want
happening
everybody.
now,
Don't you want everybody to be able to realize their full potential? I would like
absolutely.
it if you're jamming.
But right now,
guys
there's a
jamming,
scarcity of we have to manage. We're always managing on some level our us and our them.
Yeah.
I didn't give $5 to everybody I passed on the street today that was asking for money. I could have done that, but I didn't. So I'm always, you got to be realistic. We're always trying to figure out who's our us, who's our them. So it's not that it's bad to make decisions where you leave other people out, but generally, from an evolutionary standpoint, we need to recognize that the whole planet is one.
Yeah, and I would like it to
human
be
race.
some people who can pay some attention to the people who are out.
Yes.
Somebody should be
Yes.
down and outers, the
But
disadvantaged.
look at what's happening
There should be
around-
more
look at what's
attention
happening
paid to
in-
them around the world, and the
And
pattern
even if
should
they don't
be.
look like you, even if they're acting in
Yes.
ways that you don't understand,
Yes.
we have a reflexive habit. If we see somebody
Yeah.
who we see as different from us, who's struggling, we we assume
They
it's
blame
something in their
themselves.
character.
They're ne'er-do-wells.
If
They're called. Yeah.
if we're
Yeah,
doing something that's not good, we assume it's because of the circumstances we're subjected to.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
So if we are
selective thinking. Yeah.
They call it the fundamental attributional error.
Yeah.
That we tend to attribute bad behavior in others to their character.
To their fault.
And
we're
bad behavior in
placing blame.
ourselves. What else could we
it's
do?
Also
Look
a
at
way
the
to it's also to get cop out of having any sense
Right.
of responsibility for the whole.
So let's look at what's happening in this country about pointing fingers at other places. Look at what's happening around the world. You can ramp people up into this us and them thinking, which gives you a false sense of. You draw the line nice and narrow, and then you say, okay, I can manage that.
Yeah.
That us, I can wrap my head around.
Right.
When you want to say, let's think about the whole ball of wax.
Yeah, and the
that's
ecology.
hard.
You got to do it with the ecology nowadays.
Oh
you
my
can't
God.
just be all limited to these other things. I just found out, you'd probably be old time to you, in a human organism, I just looked it up in the Google, there's something like 40 trillion cells.
Yeah.
40 trillion. I don't even know how many circles that is. I mean, 40 trillion cells. Each cell is individual. Each cell is part of a subsystem, like a finger or whatever, and they all work. It works as a system.
That's crazy.
And everything is needing to have oxygen. And it's working as a system, and it works well. It's called a successful, and let's say even happy organism.
Well,
that's a big number.
Like 97% of the cells that are in what we call our body are not our cells.
What do you mean? They're from before?
By count, not by volume.
So say that words again. I can't.
Don't quote me on this
Okay.
because I haven't looked it up
Don't
lately.
quote
But
him
I
here,
think
everybody.
it's something like 97%. Someone, you can check it out for us. 97% by number of the cells in our body are not they're not human. They're bacteria. They're fungus.
Yeah.
But we absolutely need most of them. We are.
Is that coming out of history? Is that coming out of
We've
evolutionary
evolved
history?
all the viruses.
It all
and
came.
all the
That's
bacteria.
right. We all
together.
come from the.
We're not separated from.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that something? It's amazing.
We think of ourselves
evolution
as
and biology is amazing, isn't it?
Oh,
and reality is so amazing.
It's the most.
But the thing I like,
remarkable and still just.
Yeah.
Minimally understood story.
Right, and we're just and then the thing is that it works as a system. A person is a system.
Right.
And if you suppose you start extending that out into others. Let's say I know a lot of guys who like to do jazz.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a great metaphor.
We went
for
to this
whole
thing the other night.
You're telling me about that.
I got a chance. Really great. What's in it? Gilad was in town.
Yeah.
He plays the horn, the sax, like Charlie Parker. Really good. And these guys got together at a club downtown, and they were just spontaneously jamming.
Right.
And everybody is playing, and they're all feeling it, is right. And you want everybody to do the best they can, not be messed up.
Right.
So you want that, and what you want to have is that for everybody.
Right.
Everybody could be doing, you want people to be doing the best they can. You want that to be a favorite thing for the whole ball of wax or the
Right.
whole organization or whatever. And so we want it for the whole of the humanity. And do you see? And we may be coming to a time of being able to realize that on a planetary scale in evolutionary terms. What is it, the universe? 3.8 trillion years or something like that?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, you know? So we're coming, and then there's evolution up a path. And we may be coming to a qualitative break in evolutionary terms, or is that reaching too far?
Well, I see it.
Or do you
I
have
agree.
a vision of that? And then that
I'll
means
tell
that,
you my
and we got
metaphor for it.
capability. We got a capability that our institutions won't allow us to realize because it's ahead. But
It's not just our
like latent
institutions,
heat.
though, it's
latent
also-
heat. You
Yeah.
understand that?
Yeah, that's a great
I
metaphor.
gave it. You
But
got,
it's not
you
just
got,
our institutions; it's also
Yep.
because another thing that has evolved along with all this stuff is our behavioral patterns. You know, so some of those are manifest in institutions; others are just in the way we look at the world, the way we make sense of the world.
Yeah.
And I think the way I see it, and you know, all these are just heuristics.
Yeah.
They're not the real story. They're just
Yeah.
something to hold on to.
Yeah.
But the way that I see it is that, so jazz is the norm. Like nature is basically just jazz.
All right.
Humanity, and you know, maybe the dolphins got ahead of us.
Yeah, you
but
thought
let's
the
leave them out of this for a
cetaceans,
minute.
yeah.
Humanities are you know, uniquely. We have this new layer of the expression of nature that is evolving, which is our minds.
Yeah.
So we went from having, you know, when the tensions between animals wanting to survive and procreate and eat and all that stuff and not be killed, when those things are all evolving, it's mostly on this layer of biochemistry and
Reptilian
instinct.
core?
Yeah,
Or, yeah,
the
the
reptilian
reptilian
brain
core,
is, you know,
yeah.
they're not like,
Yeah.
they're not reflecting on what to do
No,
today.
no. It's
and
all
they're not,
built.
They're not building a cultural
Well, maybe
understanding
we have
of
to
the world.
build out to a whole new way of being in
are,
universe.
exactly.
No, that's what and it is happening now.
It is.
I
But
mean,
what's
and
not
the-
happened,
and
we haven't gotten back
It's
to
not
the...
there in the reality. It's latent heat, right? You hear a temperature, it says 76 degrees, and it reads, every thermometer says 76 degrees, and there is in that 76 degree, it doesn't register heat.
Right.
But when it rains or when you have a cyclone, it's released. It's capability,
Right.
not the reality.
I understand
We
that.
get all caught up in the reality. It's the and we should be paying attention to that larger reality, which is we might have a capability of providing for everybody, so that everybody can maximize. And you want everybody to maximize their own participation.
And when we
gigantic jam
experience jazz, you experience a jam session. The thing that makes it amazing is that there's a coherence of, you know, they're not just blowing any note.
No,
there's
they're
a
all
coherence
linked up.
to
When
the
I mean,
context.
you can do.
But
They have
then
guys
there's this
blowing. Sometimes they go off the thing. They fall
Yeah,
off
but
the
you
stage.
find your way
but when
back.
they get together, it's magnificent.
So
Brrr,
we're
and you're going into a synergistic, resonating new capability.
right.
It's called creative.
So on those biochemical instinctive levels that most of the
Yeah.
living kingdoms
Yeah.
have been experiencing for most of
We've
evolutionary
incorporated,
history,
yeah.
we're now, most of what's evolving for us is on the level of culture. And by
Okay,
that I mean
yeah.
the things that we're co-creating every day,
That
the
includes
things that we
technology.
perceive.
It does.
That's part of it, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And so those things, we have not learned to play jazz together very well. So we're actually trying to return to the consonance and freedom and structure that is the natural way, in a sense, with this new layer, this new messy layer of cognitive understanding, along with all the things that we operationalize based on our cognitive understanding. So we're idiotically pulling stuff out of the earth and blowing it into the atmosphere that has been in balance for many millennia.
Yeah, right.
And we have not caught up to the fact yet that that choice is
Well,
throwing things out of balance. The way we treat each other
Yeah.
and see these differences,
Right.
we have not caught up to the fact that just really is not adaptive.
Yeah.
Nature is about finding the most adaptive,
Yeah, right.
complex,
Yeah, right.
interdependent system.
Right.
When you get when we get back to jazz, it will be I think, a return to what is our normal state, but with this new amazing layer of human
it'd be
consciousness.
like a steady state view of the universe or something.
Well, it's not steady state because it's got to be it's
Yeah,
you got to have
evolving,
variation.
Yeah,
that's
but
why
I mean,
jazz is a better metaphor than
well, I was
say
thinking of jazz as being
classical.
people who are in touch with one another at a level that's really important.
Yeah.
That involves a lot
attunement.
of the things that are love, and everything is involved
Absolutely.
in that. But you have a thing like I don't know, but I just think it's coming to a time of qualitative. It's so good the work you're doing and everything.
You too.
And I'm just.
And I agree with you on that. I think
Well, I
it's
don't
like
know
I think
whether
it's a hopeful
it's
time.
hard to say we're at a time of such qualitative change because it's been so slow, and it's so wrenching, and so to think that we may be coming to a fulfilled way of being in the universe that we're just closing quotes on this 200,000 year sojourn in evolutionary terms. And then if you have a liberated humanity, everybody's a big gigantic jam session. Everything is going right, and it's connected. It's idealistic sounding, but it might not be. We got a capability now. The technological extension of our consciousness. Now the weapons have become species lethal.
Yeah.
We have in our own hands the ability to destroy our whole species. Never had that until yesterday.
Right.
Okay, and on the other hand, we got a capability of taking care of everybody, get rid of the ancient scourge, let everybody maximize their own given potential. Let's all be in a big jam session, and then there would be a resonancy, and that's all that exists in the universe is resonancy of interaccommodative systems.
Yeah.
It's a resonancy, something synergetic, more than the sum of the parts of a maximally engaged system, will interaccommodate us to the universe at a level transcendent to what we've been throughout the experience, whether there is a universal mind or something that people have been conveying thoughts, we will be in touch with that other, we've made it, and we'll be in that other sense of reality evolutionarily transformed in universe. The evolutionary process, perhaps, I don't know. But we're at a time where we can annihilate or we can liberate. Now, materially, first, liberate the human society within an ecological. We have the capability to do that. We only had it since about the time you were born, in the more recent eye blink.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of time we've been born into.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't figure it out by the end of the program, but
no, we didn't.
Let's keep working on it.
We've done this before, but it was so good to see. I'm so proud of my son, David Donald Channer. As you can see, he's doing great work. It's so good. I'm glad you're here. We're going to do some talk tonight and everything. And give my best to everybody out on the West Coast and everything. So, and thanks, Joanne, for helping put this together. And we thank you for viewing. We're coming back again tomorrow, so do tune in then. And until then, David, let's go have a beer or something and talk things out a little bit more, okay? Your pleasure. Thanks a lot for viewing. We'll be coming back again tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, we're out. I'm sorry I got carried away.